On 321.
94.1. San Antonio's Sports Center.
The Cowboys denied permission to the Chicago Bears for a Mike McCarthy interview. Could it signal that he could be back in Dallas next season? Time will tell. With the firing of Antonio Pierce in Las Vegas, the Raiders' new minority owner, Tom Brady, has reportedly reached out to his former coach, Bill Belichick, who recently took the North Carolina job, about reconsidering, although sources say he's going to stay.
This is Extra Innings with Pleasure.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Rock and roll! The Texans win it!
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
That ball is history! A walk-off home run!
And it's going to be legendary.
James Pledger wraps your day with insight, opinion, plenty of sarcasm, and of course, your calls. He'll even pour a beer out the door for his favorite story of the day. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. Now, here's Pledge.
What's up, Danger? Can't stop me now.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I appreciate y'all listening, however y'all may be listening. Whether that's on 94.1 on your FM dial, if you happen to be listening via our AA Best Bail Bonds audio player at sasportstar.com, or if you're watching the show, that's right, you can watch the show live on YouTube. We put all of our shows on YouTube, whether it's the Morning Huddle from 6 to 10, the Blitz from 2 to 6, or right here on Extra Innings with Pledge from 6 to 7. Just go search SA Sports Star on YouTube. You can like, subscribe, comment along with the show while you're at it, or feel free to call into the show, 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. Lots to get into today. Mostly, though, the Dallas Cowboys as Mike McCarthy denied by the Bears. What's it all mean? Well, the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson. We're talking about that a little earlier this morning.
Brought me back to the Cowboys because things like this that happened with McCarthy make me want the Cowboys to fail. Like as a non-partisan, football fan, like as someone who I don't have a reason to hate the Cowboys. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but when they do things like this, like
because you're bumping Jerry in as the rest of the Cowboys. When Jerry does this,
yes. Well, I mean, when the Cowboys organization, which is essentially Jerry Jones, like is trifling with Mike McCarthy's livelihood for the price of clicks.
Well,
it's like, yeah, I hope you fail. I want to see you fail.
He's done that. He did it with Jason Garrett. I mean, we look back at it on, my God, he should have fired him 3 years before he did. But for those 3 years that he didn't fire him, there was the will he or won't he for several weeks up and months sometimes. Is Garrett going to stay? Is he going to go? Is he going to get fired? He never had the contract looming over him. Like, I got to make a decision. But he left Garrett hanging out there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it with Wade Phillips because he felt like he fired Wade too fast. So after he fired Wade too fast, it was like roadkill for Garrett for a couple of years. Just put him out of his misery. Just, put him down. He's wounded. He's not going to make it out of this. And he let it go too long. So this isn't the first time he's done something like this. And he got away with it. He got away with it. He wasn't hated. And now he's got a coach that might turn the tide, that people are going to finally realize that the king does not have any clothes on, that this guy legitimately doesn't know what he's doing.
But there is something to when you're an outsider and you things start to pile up about an organization or a program, and you're like, yeah, I don't like that. I find myself now in the camp of, I want to see the Cowboys lose. Like, and it's not fair. Like, I don't.
Well,
I've got no reason to hate the Cowboys. The Cowboys don't play in the division of the team that I cheer for.
Have you fallen into the place where you would rather see them lose than your team win?
No.
Well, see, there are those out there today.
100%.
So and I think that's where Jerry is taking. There's a lot of people hate the Cowboys.
But typically, I think the only people who want to see the Cowboys fail more than their team win are going to be like division rivals and maybe Texans fan.
Well, definitely Texans fan. And there's a couple of other teams I think that, like, I think 49er fan for a minute would prefer.
See, I think 49er fan they've got their own level where they, like, it's for them winning is because it's more achievable. And so, like, when I say other teams in the division, mostly I mean the Giants and Commanders, because the Eagles are actually focused on winning football games.
Well, I think I'm not going to count divisions because you always feel that way against your arches. But I do think there are other teams out there that for a minute, not constantly, that much preferred. Like, I think New Orleans kind of falls into that realm too. Maybe that's a proximity thing. That much preferred. I'd rather us lose and watch the Cowboys get destroyed.
Yeah, I do think that there are things or people or it could just be like one little thing that it turns you off about a whole franchise. And this is right up there for me with the Jerry thing, with this, the way he's handled this McCarthy thing, especially what's happened in the last 24 hours. It feels gross, and maybe it's also because we've had McCarthy on the show so much, and it's not like we're friends, but like he seems like a good dude, and it feels like he's just getting a raw deal here.
Well, unless of course we don't know the other side, because Jerry's never done this. He's pushed things down the road. He's put things off. He's been vague and obtuse about negotiations, but he's never said, you can go do that, and then said, nope, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I don't remember him ever going this way, so polar. That makes me think maybe there's something more afoot here, because this is one of those deals that not only will it affect your relationship with this guy who, if McCarthy has any option, I'd get the hell out of here no matter what. But the next guy that comes in the building, like, you know what? I am never going to let you put me in a situation where my contract's about to expire and I don't have a deal. I'm never going to let you do that. So from now on, when we negotiate, I'm going to build in a poison pill that if for some reason you let my contract get close to expiration and then you try to re-sign me, it's 2x. I'm going to make sure you never put me here because you just did it to that guy. So whatever Jerry gets out of this, it's going to cost him more in the long run, no matter how this works out.
But like you said, Jerry doesn't care if it costs him more, because it's like, to him, it's a win somehow anyway.
Yes. So knowing that, he's going to lose more of the thing that he wants the most, and that's money.
And it's funny because, like, the Jets are another good example of this. A team that so as a Bills fan, I've always hated. The Dolphins have always been my naturally most hated team. But then when the Patriots got good, I hated the Patriots more than anybody. The Jets, I never really even thought about, because the Jets they're the Jets. Like, who thinks about the Jets?
It's tech.
But then when the Jets signed Aaron Rodgers, suddenly I was like, I want the Jets to fail miserably. Like, there can be that one thing that comes across that you're like, yeah, I want them to fail because of this.
I never understood that with you. Why kick a dog when it's down? I mean, they've been down for so long, and they get a little bit of something, and it didn't work out.
It's because they tried to take a cheap way out. They brought in this cancerous person that everyone knew was cancerous, and said, this is what's going to fix it. Like,
so you look at it as a cheap way out. I look at it as a last desperation act. I mean, think of everything else they tried before Aaron. I mean, they've done everything. I don't blame them for what they did. I pity them. I don't hate them.
Oh.
I feel sorry for them. It's a bless their hearts kind of thing, which is actually, in my mind, even worse.
I'll go back to feeling sorry for them when Aaron's gone. Now
I feel even worse for them now.
Oh no, I feel no remorse.
How many coaches and
this
players,
is what you get.
You
signed up for this.
Yeah, you did, and I feel that you're pathetic. You're sad.
Yes,
there's no reason to hate him. You feel sorry for him.
It's because I hate Aaron Rodgers so much that they've rung themselves in.
See, you look at it like a desperate act because they wanted to go the cheap way out. I look at it like this guy Woody looked around and said, I only got one option here.
Yeah.
I've tried everything else. I drafted Sonny Boy quarterback out of BYU, and he ended up having sex with his mother's friend and couldn't handle my game. I brought in every possible free agent I can find, and that ain't working either. Let's go get this idiot. This is all I got left.
Well, my son say he's got a good Madden rating, so he's got to be.
That kind of matters. So I pity them more than I hate them.
Well, I'm curious to see how this works with McCarthy, and if there's an amicable solution here, if they do get something worked out, and McCarthy might get a pay raise out of this thing.
Better.
I'll go, okay. Well, that was Jerry got his bluff called, and he paid for it. That's one thing. But if Mike McCarthy's not the coach of the Cowboys next year, now they've done Mike McCarthy really, really dirty here, and it's enough of a thing for me to go, I hope the Cowboys lose because of that.
I think a lot of people are on board with that train of thought in terms of whether you want McCarthy back or not. Cowboys fan want something different, want something new. Nobody wants to see what's playing out the way it's playing out with Mike McCarthy because it's bad for everyone involved. It's a bad look for the Cowboys. It's bad for Mike McCarthy and his potential pursuit of another job if they truly aren't going to bring him back. It feels like dirty pool, which leads me to believe the denial is the fact that they, if not are working on a contract, have the workings of what the contract will look like, and they're just waiting to finish a couple of things. But it's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out. And one person I know that's been paying incredibly close attention to this and everything that happens up at the Star is RJ Ochoa, who joined the Blitz a little bit earlier today. My former Saturday Morning Hangover co-host, by the way. He is the editor-in-chief of Blogging the Boys, and he joined the Blitz a little bit earlier today to talk about what's going on with Mike McCarthy and what all these roads eventually lead to. That's coming up here on Extra Innings with Pledge on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson.
Thursday on the Morning Huddle. Happy Small Friday. We get to start previewing college football playoffs. They get started tonight with Penn State, Notre Dame.
Did the Spurs take care of business against the Freak? We'll undress it all and get you started. Get here early. It starts at 6.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson. Morning 6 to 10 on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Well, family, this new year is off to a great start. Everybody, how are those New Year's resolutions?
Dear, my resolution is to cut my damaged hair and just start over.
Dad, my resolution is to take better care of my skin. It's so dry. Ew.
Pops, my New Year's resolution is to work out at the gym. Go up and drink a gallon of bottled water every day.
My resolution is to take up skydiving.
Mom, you're 96.
Don't you make me get it.
Family, my resolution is to replace all our appliances that have been destroyed over the years by hard water.
Sounds like your family needs to start the new year off with installing a Connecticut water system and get a head start on all those resolutions.
This guy's making sense.
For a limited time, receive a free reverse osmosis drinking station at your kitchen sink. $400 off with trade-in and 0% interest for 12 months with approved credit. Don't wait. Offer ends soon. Call Connecticut of San Antonio and the Hill Country.
The last water softener you'll ever own. ConnecticutSA.com.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ORDER to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ORDER to 42424. That's ORDER to 42424.
America's best high school football players are coming to San Antonio. It's the Navy All-American Bowl at the Alamo Dome on Saturday, January 11th. C.J. Stroud, Christian McCaffrey, and Micah Parsons played here. Join us for a day of exciting football to see the stars of tomorrow at the Navy All-American Bowl, followed by the San Antonio Sports All-Star Football Game, presented by Valero. Fan Zone opens at 9:30 a.m. Tickets on sale at the Dome box office and Ticketmaster.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Joe Fallon's bedroom mini fridge. Sure, this pint-sized chiller's max capacity is 3 soda cans, but what it lacks in stature, it makes up in cooling strength. Each beverage a perfect 37 degrees every time. And the 2 feet Joe walks to get a drink, priceless. That's why his mini fridge is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Hey guys, it's AJ Hoffman from the Morning Huddle. Guys, excited to tell you about my friends over at SA Card House. They're located right off of 281 at Bitters, and this is the best card house in all of San Antonio. This is a premier poker experience. I got used to playing online in Vegas, and then every once in a while I'd go out, I'd get in the casino and play cards. I'm so excited to be back in a place where I can get my hands on the cards, sit down at the table, feel the feel of the table, feel those chips. You got to love it. This is a private social club. They're open 7 days a week, and they're open all hours of the night. So you get up whatever hours you're working, you get off work, you want to go play some poker, great. You work in the mornings, you want to play in the afternoon, great, like me. It's a great time, great atmosphere, a clean place, which is a big deal for me, and they welcome every skill level. On top of that, they've got a bar and grill, Foster's Bar and Grill attached. You don't have to be a member to dine. 5-star chefs on hand with nightly specials. The food is incredible. Check them out and check them out online, sacardhouse.com.
It's Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
I'm a little bit off the wall.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pledger. Thanks for joining me this evening as we take you up to 7 o'clock. A lot to talk about when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, Mike McCarthy, what the denial means ultimately for the future of Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys. And earlier today on the Blitz, Jason and Joe, as they're joined every Wednesday by the managing editor-in-chief of Blogging the Boys, RJ Ochoa, former Rock the Mic champ, former co-host of the Saturday Morning Hangover with me. He joins every Wednesday at 4:30, and there is no shortage of storylines to talk about. Mike McCarthy and his status going into this wild card weekend and whether he'll be around long term or not definitely was something that fueled RJ's rage towards the Cowboys and what has been a very, very tough year for not just him, but all Cowboy fans.
I've got to believe that Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones have come to some sort of an agreement. And the reason I say that, RJ, even Jerry Jones knows what a PR disaster it would be if come January 14th and Mike McCarthy's gone and he didn't allow him the opportunity to go talk to the Chicago Bears or anybody else.
Yeah, it's funny you say PR disaster in January 14th because if you're unaware, that's the 1-year anniversary of last season's playoff.
We're all aware because we follow you on Twitter.
You, Joe, from a logic-based perspective, but I mean, like, just think about where we're at right now. The best case scenario is the owner, general manager, president, grand supreme overlord, Sith leader, and Mike McCarthy, the head coach, have an agreement that they're going to string along the world and let the man be hung out to dry and the A block for every show in the world, wondering whether he's good or a buffoon. And they're all in cahoots on this. Like that's the best case scenario here. I mean, what a sad reality for not just a professional football team, but a corporation, a company, people with an objective to accomplish a goal.
If Mike McCarthy is on board with that, That would surprise me. Although I could see, since the hay is in the barn and we all got redneck education and learned what that means, his decision was already made. Now, I will say this, though. If you're Jerry Jones, follow me here, and I know I'm defending Jerry Jones here, even though I think he's totally wrong in all of this. And I heard on ESPN radio today, although I haven't really seen this anywhere else, that the contract actually expires today, but there's an exclusive negotiating window through the 14th in the contract. Either way, Jerry has exclusive rights to negotiate with Mike McCarthy through January 14th. Even though he said he would let Mike McCarthy go talk to somebody, why would he negotiate against somebody else if they are having negotiations? And I say that if length of the deal, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or the back and forth he had with James Slater from the NFL Network on Sunday afternoon about an incentive-based contract, if they are negotiating, why would you allow the Bears to get into that mix if you have an exclusive window, just from a business standpoint?
Well, I appreciate that you put on a hazmat suit to wade this deep into the rabbit hole of Jerry Jones's potential logic. I guess if I'm wandering with you, I would offer that even if that were the case, right? Like, even if the goal were to, let me get a great business decision or whatever, let me save money, even though money is not a factor here relative to the success of the football team. No salary cap or anything. There's no penalty to paying Mike McCarthy or a number of years on his deal, like they have with basically every important player on their football team. They have surrendered all negotiating power to Mike McCarthy, like they did Dak Prescott, they did CeeDee Lamb, because Mike McCarthy now can undisputably say, I have another interested party, the Chicago Bears. They want to talk to me. And so you have to up your offer, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, whether it's incentive-based, whatever the case may be. And like with Dak Prescott, they would have been wise if they really were this financially shrewd. And I know it sounds like you don't, I hope you don't really believe this, Jason. But if they really were, then they would have obviously given him the extension last year, because that would have been when they could have lowballed him, right? They could have said, dude, look, we're doing you a solid, man. Like, you just got whooped up by the Packers, so we're going to go ahead and give you this now. Like they could have given Dak Prescott an extension 2 years ago when he was coming off of the interception-laden season, but they didn't do that. So unfortunately, all general signs of logic point to the idea that they're just this dumb and this incompetent and this lazy.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate, RJ, because I know you love
that. That wasn't devil's advocate. I'm interested to hear what is.
Well, I'm just this is part two then.
All right.
What Jerry's pissed because Mike McCarthy has said, I'm not coming back. I don't want to be here. I'm going to leave when my contract is up. I don't want to be here anymore. And that's why Jerry said, well, then we're not going to let you go talk to the Chicago Bears or anybody else until that contract is gone.
I mean, I guess if that were the case, then we need to see how much of a man of his word Mike McCarthy is. And that would, in that part two situation, give Mike even more leverage. I mean, look, I thought Dominic Foxworth said it best. You mentioned ESPN radio. He said it on ESPN yesterday. I don't fully believe in Mike McCarthy, to be very clear here. I think he's been given a raw deal. I think we all agree the front office has done nothing to help him, but they have actually been so incompetent that they have forced me out of being a person of reason to cape for the man. Like I am charging it. I'm the person at the front line. You know what I mean? Like back in the old school, military days, like when they would play the drums and crap, like that's who I am, running out in the name of Mike McCarthy, because this is so stupid. And I wouldn't blame Mike. I mean, he doesn't, unlike Jason Garrett, and all due respect to him, he doesn't need the Cowboys. Mike has won a Super Bowl. Mike has a Hall of Fame case. Whether he'll get in or not is ultimately a different discussion. Mike has climbed the peak of this game. The Cowboys, they reside at the ground floor. And nothing that the Cowboys do or say in the public can change the fact that Mike McCarthy's won a Super Bowl and the Cowboys are floating in the wind.
RJ Ochoa, bloggingtheboys.com, joining us here on the Blitz. All the discussion is centered around Mike McCarthy and his future. No conversations in the media, and it's not near sexy enough. But what about Zimmer? What about Fossil? Because what about the weight room guys, the strength staff? From what I understand, everybody, their contract is expiring soon, but nobody's requested to talk to Mike Zimmer that we've heard about, or Fossil or any of these other guys.
Yeah, I do think that that's an interesting point. Now, you mentioned Jane. She had a great line about Zimmer that he is doing some soul searching. So I think it is still a little, out of the barn on whether or not he just wants to coach, period, whether that's for the Cowboys or anything else. Obviously, he'd been out of the game for a little while before returning this past season. And I think that that's an important piece of context here because, look, I'm not going to pretend or assume to know anything about Mike Zimmer and his personal life, but if he really is contemplating, is this worth it or not? And then you open your work email or your work Twitter account or whatever, and it's filled with all this stupid narrative stuff. You're like, man, these are some childish, petty games that I don't have time for. Like, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it in a real adult way. And I think that examining the familial aspects of all of this is really important. These are people's lives. I understand that the Cowboys have a bottom line that is attention seeking and driving magnitude around their name because they're not playing this weekend, not even in their own building. If that game's still going to go on Friday, the one that Texas fraudulently got into.
Wow.
But that being said, imagine being John Fossil's wife or his children or his, brother-in-law or whoever. You know what I mean? Like, this is really cruel. I do find it interesting that nobody has requested Fossil. He has garnered head coach interviews in the past. I'm interested in the fact that Al Harris hasn't gotten an interview, given that he's obviously been a hot name. But some of that might be on the secondary level that new staffs have yet to obviously be finalized with teams looking just for head coaches right now.
Now, RJ, while you were answering that, Clarence Hill Jr., with All City Dallas now, just tweeted out, Cowboys assistant coaches are officially free agents. Those that want to continue to work can and be paid as at-will employees. All coaches out of the office until Monday.
Look, I'm not pedantic enough to sit here and say that in not doing work on the 2025 season between now and Monday, the Cowboys are losing ground, right, to pick who you want, the Bengals or the Falcons. But think about this. Like, this is now inhibiting their ability to be competitive as a franchise, even if on a microscopic level, because now you don't even know. You're Micah Parsons, you're Deron Bland. Like, do you text these guys? Like, do you talk to them? Like, it's ridiculous. It's absurd. And if you are going to be in the market for a head coach, all these dudes are doing all these interviews with all these other teams right now. And more than that, they're watching the way that you're dogging Mike McCarthy. They're watching the way that you're embarrassing this man. This is more than just treating him poorly. This is embarrassing him in the court of, you're making him the jester for everybody to point and laugh and gawk at. And who wants – everybody has a price and somebody will take the job, but who wants that? It's more than being a bad football team right now. You're bordering on being bad people.
Well, and I totally agree with that. And if you're talking about a head coach, and Al Harris may be the best you can get if you're going to part ways with Mike McCarthy. And I'm not saying that's a bad get. Maybe he turns out to be a great head coach. But anybody with any resume, why would they want to come to Dallas? Honestly, why would you want to come to Dallas, number one, and put up with a general manager who I'm not going to say – he did a horrible job this year, but he's put together some – he put together some teams in the past, including the team last year that was a number 2 seed that was dismal in the playoffs. But I just don't understand anybody with a resume, RJ, sincerely. Why would they come to Dallas unless Jerry Jones opens the pocketbook and pays them $20 million a year?
I think that's the reason, or sometimes you don't know if you're going to get another head coaching opportunity, right? Not everybody's Ben Johnson. This might be your only shot, and you have to take it. And obviously, coaching for the Cowboys comes with a stage and comes with some notoriety that you can ride some coattails up. Maybe you can work in television afterwards, or whatever the case may be. But you said something, Joe, that I've kind of been thinking about a lot lately. You referred to Jerry as the general manager. In my postgame show that I do in the Bleacher Report app this past Sunday, obviously the last one for a long time, somebody said, I love Jerry the owner. I just hate Jerry the general manager. And I put it to you guys, like, what does Jerry the owner even do well? Like, we have delineated a difference between the two of them, like there is one. But Jerry the owner is kind of cheap too. Jerry the owner won't put up the curtains. Jerry the owner stirs the pot and fights with radio hosts. Like, what element of what Jerry Jones is doing right now, whether it's the owner, the president, the general manager, is helping the function of the football team?
Well, he makes money.
Well, and look, there are so many bad owners out there. They're just not as front and center as Jerry Jones. I mean, when you think about, I don't know, Woody Johnson and the way he runs the Jets, Tepper in Carolina, the dude in Jacksonville, Irsay in Indianapolis. There are a lot of eccentric and bad owners out there that meddle. They just don't get near the attention as Jerry Jones. And let's remember, there's only 32 of these jobs in the world, and the Cowboys are the number one franchise. There's a lot of reasons to take that job. It's just all being a part of the circus, and Jerry knows it.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're willing to eat crap, you know what I mean? Like, the hand of the king.
Yeah, but it's Wagyu crap, so, I mean, it's worth it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, the hand of the king gets to step in the royal court. You know what I'm saying? But the hand of the king has to do a lot of things to hold that position. I know you guys haven't watched Game of Thrones because you're all focused on Yellowstone or Landman or whatever it is these days. Good luck with that. I didn't know that was a real thing until Jerry was on it, which again is the point of frustration. This is, I mean,
it was great.
It was great. And you should watch Landman.
Yeah, like that was some, like, serious stuff. I mean, real talk. But that's where, like, it is quite literally my job to have a pulse of the Cowboys fan base. And I think you both know me well enough to think that I'm fairly good at that. This is the least that people have ever cared in my life. I mean, not just my professional life. And it's because of the way they're acting. It's more, again, than just
let me ask you a question there. As you say that, and I don't want to get too into the weeds or too personal. You say they don't care. For us, the interaction is actually up. For you, on your website, comments, interactions, are they up or are they down?
I'll say this week is extremely up. But
so don't tell me you don't care.
But that's because now it's the circus. Throughout the season, this was among the lowest interaction relative to the football production of things because nobody cares about the football team anymore. This is the Real Housewives, man. This is Traitors Season 3, which premieres on Friday, and you guys are pumped like I am. I mean, like, this is just a reality show. And that's where, like, I actually think I've realized that I think even less of the Eagles than I did before because they walk so tall for beating this team and being better than them. And it's like, man, if you're trying this hard to be better than this team and then they're barely trying, like, what's that really say about you guys? You should be, playing laps around them on a yearly basis. So I think more than ever, maybe the best way to put it is that people see the forest through the trees and people know that football isn't the bottom line.
That was RJ Ochoa earlier today on the Blitz with Jason and Joe. He joins every Thursday at 4:30. You can catch the full interview at sasportstar.com, or you can also catch it on our YouTube page because RJ is kind enough to join us via video for his weekly, and we make sure to turn that around for you guys. So RJ Ochoa every Thursday, 4:35, right there on the Blitz with Jason and Joe. Coming up, though, a lot of talk on McCarthy today, as rightfully there should be, but there is a huge game being played at Jerry World this week on Friday, as they alluded to, as the Texas Longhorns get set to take on Ohio State in the college football playoff semifinals to punch a ticket into the finals. We've got a reporter live on the scene, Bob Ballou. He joined the Blitz earlier today. We'll bring you a portion of that interview coming up here on Extra Innings with Pleasure on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part, they accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
If you're tired of drinking the same old beer, good news for you, friends. Karbach Brewing has you covered. They've got something for everybody in their lineup. No matter what you like, they can improve on what you've been drinking. Whether it's a Hopadillo, a Love Street, or a Crawford Bock, they've got something for everybody. And Karbach has one of the leading IPAs in San Antonio, Hopadillo IPA, an iconic Texas IPA packed with the bitterness of hops from around the world that the hop monster craves. And one of Karbach's leading brands, the top seller in San Antonio, in fact, is the Love Street Blonde. It's a state of mind, a San Antonio state of mind. It's a Kolsch-style blonde, hopped delicately with floral German hops. This beer has the clean malt profile that you're looking for. And if you're used to drinking cerveza, they've got that as well. The Karbach Cerveza Especial is right for you. Like I said, something for everybody. And when you're in Houston, make sure you go check out the brewery, check out all the beers they have on tap. But while you're here in San Antonio, you want to try something new, why don't you try out a Karbach?
It's football time at BetMGM. Use code KOSTOS, KOSTOS, and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, original bets, and the best daily promotions in the business. Use code KOSTOS, KOSTOS, and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 years of age or older. New customer offer. This U.S. promotional offer not available in Mississippi, New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. For New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. For Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. For Massachusetts, call 1-800-327-5050. For Iowa, call 1-800-BETS-OFF. For Puerto Rico, call 1-800-981-0023. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Hey guys, Jason Minix here from The Blitz. Have you avoided getting your T levels checked? Why continue to live with low energy or low libido potentially caused by low testosterone? Make a New Year's resolution and go to Synergenics. Their personalized TRT goes beyond standard treatments, and they have GLP-1 weight loss options as well. For current patients, Synergenics offers a $150 referral credit whenever you refer a new patient. Get started. Book your appointment at synergenicshealth.com. SYNERGENX health.com.
The Aggies play here. This is Andrew Monaco, and you're listening to 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pledger. You can follow me on X, on Instagram, at I am Pledger. You can follow the station at SA Sports Star. As a matter of fact, you can watch the station on YouTube at SA Sports Star. Go ahead, like, subscribe. You can comment along with the show. Fred Villarreal saying RJ is pretty pedantic. RJ is one of a kind, and I freaking love him. Somebody was asking if they wonder if he talks to his kids the same way that he does the guys on the Blitz. I am almost positive he does. I bet he gets the same sort of talks because that's who RJ is as a person, and I freaking love him. The Cowboys definitely this year have been wearing on him, and I kind of want something nice to happen just so that he can, have some joy back in his life. It's hard. Longhorn fans, they do have a lot of joy in their life right now, even though sometimes it doesn't seem like it, worrying about Quinn Ewers and this team, but Quinn Ewers has you in the college football playoff semifinals, and they have a tough test coming up against Ohio State, who looks like they may be the hottest team in college football at this very second. Earlier today on the Blitz, Jason and Joe were talking with Bob Ballou, the sports director at KITV, who is up in Dallas getting ready for this game on Friday and seeing kind of what the vibes are prior to this game. And with the way Ohio State's been playing, does Texas even have a chance?
I was shocked, and I even texted Minix when this first came out. Texas was a 6-point underdog. Now it's come down to 5.5, I think, which really surprised me. Look, Ohio State's kind of, and they're good. Don't get me wrong, but 6 points better than Texas. I don't see that.
Yeah. Listen, I think the first thing that you always have to remember with this stuff, number one, is recency bias. And Ohio State has looked like world beaters the last 2 weeks, just pummeling Tennessee at home and then just rolling over Oregon in the Rose Bowl. I mean, to go up the way they did, 34-0 in the first half is I think everybody was truly stunned by it. But you look at that offense and what they have in their 2 running backs, their 2 receivers, what Will Howard's done this year. They're a top defense if they're not 1 or 2 or 3 in the country. So I think everybody just sees that stuff. They see that Texas kind of let Arizona State back in the game. They let Clemson back in the game. They've kind of done that all year. And I think that kind of lends itself to where that line is.
Bob Ballou, KI Television in Austin. He's already in Dallas talking Cotton Bowl, Texas, Ohio State. You know, everybody talks about the Ohio State offense and that number 4, obvious reasons, and they've got other weapons. That Ohio State defense is pretty damn good, too. When you're if you're Quinn Ewers, who, you know, had a cup of coffee there and got $1 million or whatever from Ohio State when he should have been a senior at South Lake Carroll, I don't know how many friends he still has on that program, but from an offensive standpoint, Texas couldn't run the ball against Arizona State. How in the hell are they going to run the ball against Ohio State?
Yeah, it's an interesting point, and I think to me personally, when you ask me what is the key for Texas, and we could start off offensively, I think it's running the ball, but I don't think it's running the ball the way they necessarily ran it against Kentucky, against A&M, against Clemson when they ran for 300 yards. I don't think it's like that. I think if you go back and watch that Michigan game, the way that Michigan frustrated Ohio State was they were physical. They got him into 3rd and longs and made Will Howard make mistakes. He threw 2 interceptions. They missed a couple field goals. You got to have a break here and there, obviously. The biggest thing was Michigan ran the ball, I think, for 142 yards, which isn't anything special. They did it on 42 carries. And what that tells me is they stayed committed to the run. And I think if there's one thing that maybe Sark has in his mind when he gets in a game, we need to be balanced. We need to run the ball. And he wants to do that, and they've been able to do it for the most part. But when they can't, that's when I think he thinks, okay, we got to throw. And if he can stay committed to the run, even if you're getting 3 yards a pop and you're getting first downs, you're going to have to bully this Ohio State team that way. And I think Texas can do it. I think when they got back, they talked about this. Kelvin Banks and Jake Majors and those guys have talked about this week. When they got back from the Peach Bowl in Atlanta, they were very frustrated with the way they ran the ball. And the coaches were as well. And that was one of the things they went to was we need to be recommitted to this. And I think that's the word. If you're going to look for a word, it's not in the first quarter if they run it 4, 5, 6, 7 times. It's in the late second quarter, third quarter when they come out of the locker room. They've been terrible out of the locker room. I don't know if you heard this stat, Joe. I told it to Minix last week. In the last 6 games, Texas has 6 total points in the third quarter. They've been awful out of the locker room.
Wow.
But you look at, like, if they can stay committed in third and fourth quarter to running the football, I think that gives them as good a chance to win this game as just about any other game plan that they have will.
All right, Bob, this is going to blow your mind, but how do we get Quinn Ewers, the guy that played in the overtime against Arizona State, for 4 quarters?
Yeah, and I think it's a good question across the board for this team because they haven't been able to do it for 4 quarters for most of the season. They have lulls here and there. And I think one of the things for Quinn is that ability to be dialed in early, to not relax if they get a lead, and to keep putting that pressure on. I think Quinn has been the I know I've said this to you guys. I think Quinn has been the quarterback we thought he would be since really Kentucky, but even after Kentucky, certainly for A&M, he was against Georgia in the SEC title game. Clemson, they ran the ball a lot, and then he was against Arizona State, especially down the stretch. So I agree with you. It's got to be consistent, and I agree with you that they need it across the board, though. And if they can get that type of performance, again, it's not going to be perfect. It never is in these games because you play these teams that are, top 5 teams, top 3 team. Now it's the top 4. These 4 teams left are all really good. And so you're going to make mistakes. Things are going to go wrong. You're going to have to deal with adversity. How do you handle it? And what we've seen from Quinn Ewers is when adversity hits, he is totally calm, and there are no issues whatsoever. And it's amazing. I mean, you think about the pick he threw against Georgia in the SEC title game with 3 minutes left. Horrible throw, terrible play, all those things. Well, they get the ball back, and he drives them right down the field for the game-tying field goal. He does the same thing against Arizona State when they tied at 24. He leads them on back-to-back drives in the final 3 minutes where they could have kicked a field goal to win the game. Obviously, Burt missed both. But Quinn's doing it in those moments. And then obviously to see the poise in overtime on 4th and 13, a throw that we will talk about forever. Maybe not with 4th and 5 unless Texas wins the national title. But that 4th and 13, first of all, check at the line, into the play they ran, and the throw to Matthew Golden. We'll be talking about that thing forever because under the circumstances, that's as good a throw as we've seen in forever at Texas.
And I'll only say we'll talk about it forever if they win a national championship. If they don't, it's kind of like Tim Duncan's greatest shot after 0.4 or whatever. We hit that 3 and they lose, and we never really talk about it because they didn't win the championship that year.
Right.
Bob, you mentioned Bert Auburn. Who's kicking on Friday for the Texas Longhorns?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think it, because they hadn't practiced, we haven't talked to Sark since the beginning of the week. I certainly think that will be a question tomorrow at the press conference when we talk to him. I will be interested to see. I don't foresee him making a kicking change. There was an Instagram post before the Peach Bowl when they played Arizona State with Will Stone kicking in the bubble that he put out. And people kind of thought, oh, this means Will Stone's going to kick. Will does kickoffs right now. I don't know. Again, the coach has to trust his players at some point. You're 16 games into the season. And if they're not performing and you feel comfortable enough making that switch, he'll make the switch. But, Burt was the one thing that really kind of shocked me about the last field goal. Burt's had his struggles outside of 40 yards. He's 6 of 14 this year. But inside 40, he had not missed. And that field goal kind of tells you, like, hey, we're in a different headspace now. And whatever you want to say about Sark walking out to talk to him and all those things, Sark knows his kicker. Mac talked to Justin Tucker before he hit the 40-yarder to beat A&M in 2011. So a coach knows his kicker. He knows what he can say to him. I think Sark in that moment was just like, hey, we're all going to be calling you a hero in 2 minutes. Like, go do your thing. You've done this a million times. It didn't work. Okay, fine. But at least you know who your kicker is. So we'll find out. I don't know the answer to that. Hopefully we'll find out tomorrow.
Well, and I tell you, it's really sad. I mean, it's like a golfer, right? You get a case of the shanks, and it gets in your head, and you just can't get it out of your head. And I don't think Bert's going to get that out of his head until he makes a kick. And unfortunately, this game, I could see it coming down to a kick. And everybody that's rooting for the Texas Longhorns in that moment in time is going to be just having a heart attack, knowing, is this guy going to make it or not?
And it is kind of crazy to think, like, so you're 16 games in the year. Do you make a switch at kicker to someone who has not kicked a field goal in his college career? Or do you just keep putting your hope and trust in the guy that has been your kicker, that was really good last year, that has struggled obviously of late? It's a hard decision. I mean, either way, it's a tough decision. You basically just have to go on what you see in practice. When you put him under, they're obviously putting him under pressure in practice. They're doing some things to try to get him back this week. My gut feeling tells me he's going to stick with Burt, but we'll see. We do not have that answer yet.
That was Bob Ballou from KI Sports in Austin. He is actually in Dallas for this big game up at Jerry World. It's going to be very interesting. That's probably one of the more interesting storylines is what's going to happen at kicker for the University of Texas, because they do have multiple kickers on that roster. You don't have 110 people on a team without the possibility. But do you trust the guy that you've rolled with all year long, or do you trust someone who's never been in that situation on what arguably may be the biggest stage of their entire life for their first action? Only Sark can answer that. But this is a team that has a chance, and being an underdog, I think, is something that they can use as a rallying point. What say you? 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. You want to talk about that? The Spurs, if they could or should make any moves prior to the deadline coming up. Project Marvel, which you heard Tommy Calvert on the Blitz talking about today. Of course, all of this online at sasportstar.com in the audio vault if you want to catch up on any of it. But we'll put a bow on the show and take your phone calls and comments next, right here on Extra Innings with Pleasure on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson.
Thursday on the Morning Huddle. Happy Small Friday. We get to start previewing college football playoffs. They get started tonight with Penn State Notre Dame.
Did the Spurs take care of business against the Freak? We'll undress it all and get you started. Get here early. It starts at 6.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson. Morning 6 to 10 on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
America's best high school football players are coming to San Antonio. It's the Navy All-American Bowl at the Alamo Dome on Saturday, January 11th. CJ Stroud, Christian McCaffrey, and Micah Parsons played here. Join us for a day of exciting football to see the stars of tomorrow at the Navy All-American Bowl, followed by the San Antonio Sports All-Star Football Game, presented by Valero. Fan Zone opens at 9:30 a.m. Tickets on sale at the Dome box office and Ticketmaster.
James Pledger with San Antonio Sports Star here. Have you played Pick 6 from DraftKings? The playoffs are here and time is running out. As the official daily fantasy sports partner of the NFL, DraftKings does fantasy sports like no one else. Play for better payouts on Pick 6. It's super easy to get started. Just select 2 or more players, choose if they'll have more or less of a stat. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Texas, Missouri, California, Georgia, and more. And DraftKings is making it even sweeter for first-timers. New Pick 6 customers play $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Win more cash on Pick 6. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and use code KTFM. That's code KTFM for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus reward is non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 30 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promo.
Hello. My name is Jason Thompson. I'm an attorney here in San Antonio, and since 1994, I've been representing people and families seriously injured by negligent drivers. Recently, we've all seen advertisements from attorneys here in San Antonio saying their firm does not get paid an attorney fee unless there's a recovery. And maybe you've heard, we don't get paid unless you get paid, or words to that effect. Well, that is what I've been doing for more than 30 years. I honestly did not know that there were attorneys in San Antonio that would represent an injured client and charge a fee if there was no recovery. You see, I practice law with basic principles, one of which is you never need an excuse to do the right thing. If you or a family member has been injured in a vehicle collision, including a commercial or business vehicle, an 18-wheeler, call me. The phone call and consultation is free. If you hire me, I will not get a fee unless there is a recovery. And this has been true for me and my firm for more than 30 years. My number, 210-900-0400. That's 210-900-0400. Or check out my website, alawyerforus.com.
This is the home of the Aggies. This is Andrew Monaco. You're locked on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. I'm James Pledger. As we continue to follow Mike McCarthy, what's going on there, the Spurs' potential new arena in Project Barville. Once again, earlier today on the Blitz, County Commissioner Tommy Calvert joined the Blitz, had a very, very interesting conversation with him. And once again, you can check that out at sasportstar.com in the audio vault if you want to check that out. Plus anything that's in there, the shows, RJ Ochoa, all the interviews, Bob Ballou, right there for you at the audio vault powered by AA Best Bail Bonds. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see how all of that plays out. Plus, the San Antonio Spurs, they are in action tonight against Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks up in Milwaukee as they're riding a 2-game losing streak, trying to snap that and finish out a game in the fourth quarter. And this is something that has plagued the Spurs for most of the season, it seems like, in terms of letting leads slip away or controlling games and then just really, whether it's fourth quarter, overtime, just kind of falling apart. And, 3 points in overtime against the Nuggets on Saturday was just awful. And then do you follow that up with this game Monday against the Bulls, in which you just flat laid an egg. You laid an egg and let them come back as you were dominating them. It's going to be very interesting to see. 8:30 tonight tip-off between the Bucks and Spurs on national television. That's going to do it for me tonight. Be sure to tune back in this week. Next week, I'm done for the week. We've got college football national semifinals coming up tomorrow and Friday. Of course, the Orange Bowl between Notre Dame and Penn State. And then Friday, we have got the Cotton Bowl with Texas and Ohio State. That game getting going, 6 o'clock both days.
If you travel as much as the San Antonio sports guys travel while you're on the road, be sure